We had the payroll done. However, we want to print this, okay? A little bit of formatting might be necessary. What I'm going to do here, I want the rate here to be currency. I can click in here, click on the dollar sign. I want consistency with the decimal points. Easiest way, you click on the comma. What it means is 2 decimal points with comma separators for thousands, but no dollar signs. So we've got this formatting done. Next thing I want to do, I want to print this. We want to put a footer. We want to do it landscape. So there's a few tricks we need to do. We go onto the page layout tab. Again, we are working with 2016. On page layout, page setup, I expand the group. I click on this launcher. I click on the landscape here. Very powerful feature. If you're going off by 1 or 2 lines or columns, you could say fit the page. Like a photocopier, it reduces it. I'm going through each of these tabs. I'm going to click on margins. For the most part, I do keep the default margins as they are. You could always click on the arrows here and change things. However, I want to sort this horizontally and vertically on the sheet of paper. I check those off. Header, footer. Header appears on the top of every page. A footer at the bottom of every page. So what I want to do, I want to create a custom footer. And in the left section, you can put in the payroll manager's name. John Doe Payroll Manager. Center section. You've got, hold your mouse here, it tells you what to do. Page number, number of pages, date, and more. I'm going to click on date. This would be the time. If I want the date and the time, I hit the space bar a couple of times so they don't touch each other. I want the file name or the sheet name. The file name is in here. The green thing over here, the green thing over here is the file name. This is the sheet name. I'll explain that. Insert file path, that's the folder it's in. So if I click inside here, it's going to say Daily Planted Payroll. I'm going to hit the enter key. I want to reference the sheet name. That is the tab down here where it says week 1. I click inside here, and I didn't mean to do that. I want to click on this green thing here, the tab. It will say week 1. I say okay. Always click on the top one. I go into sheet. I could put grid lines on here, and I could put row and column headings. I'll talk about rows to repeat at top. In a couple of minutes, I click on print preview. This is what it looks like. A little industrial John Doe Payroll Manager, date, time, daily planted payroll, week 1. I hit the escape key to get out of this, okay? Let's say we have to do the second week of payroll. There's going to be a few things happening. So what I want to do here, I want to copy the sheet. Step 1, put your mouse inside the tab where it says week 1. Step 2, hold down the control key, hold the clicker, drag to the right, let go. You cannot have 2 sheets with the same file name in Excel. Double click here, let's call it week 2. Now, for example here, they came out with a new benefit for med insurance, okay? I'm going to go in here, med insurance. And let's say they're charging 4.5%. I type in 4.5, the percent sign. Formats it instantly. You can do that when if you type a dollar sign, you don't have to type the comma. Now, what it is, they're taking out 4.5% of the gross pay. We need to add a new column with a formula and recalculate the net pay. Pretty simple. If you're taking any job where you're doing this, check your workout with a calculator. It is fine. And even the last week of your employment there in 30 years, I would still say double check it, but you should have an extreme comfort zone at that point. I want to column between H and I. I right click in here, insert, and it picks up the formatting. I'm going to type in med insurance. Now I want to put 4.5% of the gross pay. So it's equal gross pay times 4.5%. That's cell B15. What do we press on that keyboard? F4. We complete it. It's done so far. Now, next thing I want to do, we have to edit the net pay. If we don't do it, we're not subtracting I4. I edit the formula, I go into the formula bar, I click at the very end, I hit the minus sign, I click inside the $21.62, complete the formula. Now I'm going to drag it down. I highlight these two cells, drag it down to here. I need the sum above. What you can do, we're on the Home tab. I click on the auto sum once, twice. It's showing everything in here. You get any marching ants, such as something like this showing, you know to widen the column. Terrific. Next thing here, we're doing week 2 here. There were another couple more changes here. Let's say Clark worked 24 hours. He took off part of a day. The money changes there, okay? James Olson, our club reporter, has been doing terrifically. He's making $12.75 now. And you can see the totals changing, okay? Next thing I want to do, the boss wants to know a few statistics. Like, let's say, average, high, low, median of the gross pay. So I'm going to type a few things in here. So I clicked in there, I typed the stuff going down. Now I want to know of the gross pay, this range here. Now I go up here on the Home tab, click next to Auto Sum, that drop down arrow. You see the average word. You click on average. You have to select the correct range. You don't want to be including the total in row 9. Highlight that. Hit the Enter key. We're going to do the low. That is min. Highlight the correct cells. High, which is max. I'm in the blank cell where I want the formula to appear. If I'm in this cell and I do it, it's called right church, wrong pew. Always be in the cell where you want the formula to appear. I click inside the auto sum here. I'm going to choose max. Not those numbers, these numbers. Now I want to know the median. That is the midpoint. I'm in here, got that showing there. Click next to the auto sum. It's not showing median. What do? I click on more functions. And what I do here, might show recently used here, MEDIAN. It is there. However, if it doesn't show up, you click inside here. You're going to find the right category. It's actually statistical. And then I want to find the median. I scroll down. There it is. I double click. The median is not these 3 numbers here. It's these numbers here. Drag it to here. There's no second one here to choose from. 462.18 cents. I say okay. So that is the midpoint. Too lower, too high. If you had 5,000 people, it would be much easier or more obvious that way. We got that in here. We're going to be printing this, but they decided they want to spiff this up. They want borders. They don't want industrial looking grid lines. So what I do, I go into here. I want lines going around here. I highlight that. I want to do it on a couple of other ranges, okay? Next thing, I'm going to be doing non-adjacent ranges. Put my finger on the control key. Highlight these cells here. take your mouse, hold the control key down very firmly, otherwise it's going to turn into poo-poo. So we've got that data there. And I want to put borders. I click, I'm on the Home tab. You see something that looks like an underline to the right of the underline? We click inside there. And do you see where it says all borders? You've got that there. The grid lines will not be showing up in a minute. If I do a Control P to print, it looks good, but I want to get rid of the letters and the grid lines there. So I click on Page Setup. And all I have to do, I click on Sheet. I don't need row and column headings. I just pull this down here. I don't need this. Go back into Setup again. I want to get rid of those grid lines. I go into Sheet, uncheck grid lines. I say OK. So that is the product. If we were to print it, you would have it. I hit the Escape key. We're just about done. Let's say you've got to do week 3. We're going to highlight this here, click on this here, click and drag to the right, rename it. You want to call it week 3. Typically, you would be using the day of the month and the year. You would be saying like December 5th, December 12th, January 1st, January 8th. So we've named the sheet. Now, what it is, if we go to print this, we said fit the page, all that. It's working. I do a Control P. However, we've just discovered one of the people resigned. Lana got a job with the Inquirer. She resigned. She loved the job. We want to get rid of the Lana row. Click inside the 6 or the number next to her name. Right click. And do you see where it says delete? All the totals have changed because you subtracted that. Let's say you want to undo it was a mistake. You can undo. And let's say it really was to be deleted. I click on the redo. So we have it back to that. And you can see when you're doing things, the statistics are possibly changing, which I'm not saying is a good thing, but change is a good thing in this world. So if I do a final preview, Control P, it's all showing there. And the other thing too is, let's say you don't need this sheet anymore. You can delete it. Like if I put a sheet here, if I add a sheet here, and I just type in practice, spelled it wrong, that doesn't matter, but I don't need that sheet. I just right click inside where it says sheet 3. I right click, I left click on delete. It always prompts you before it deletes, okay? You can't undo that. So that's the information with the formatting and the printing.